My mom, Agnes Mensah, is here. And then my family members who are also here, the beautiful family. And then especially special mention to the congregation, all of you for coming. I'm most grateful to you. To the Zoe Choir, to Temakora. You guys are wonderful. And then to our instrumentalists, where are they? They are at the back there. And then special mention to my beautiful lady here, Anna. She has been my strong support. Okay, I would say that my life has been a little of a drama. And through it all, I've learned some beautiful lessons, both sweet and sour. But all of it has culminated into my personality. My mom told me, because then I was very young, how life all began. We were kids, myself and my sister, Madeline, my younger sister, she's here. And we were with our dad, but at a very young age, our dad decided to travel to go for greener pastures. He said he wanted to get plenty money, then you come and pick us. But he never came back again. The next time I saw him, I was about finishing SS. And then I was with my grandma, Akua Akyere, in the village when he came there. And then my grandma told me, "That's your father." And then I looked at him, I stared at him, he was also staring at me. And that was it. For a couple of minutes, nobody spoke. He left, and then I dashed into the arms of my grandma, Akua Akyere. I wept and wept till there was no more tears under my eyes. I was shocked to the core. I didn't know what to say or what to do. And then that was it. So he was around for a couple of years. I think barely about 3 years. He was no more again. I did everything I could to make him happy, to give him the joy that a son could have given to him. But that is life for you. After 3 years, he was gone. And what happened is that when my dad traveled and we were young, my mom told me that we had to go and stay with our paternal grandmom in a village somewhere in the Obuasi area, in the Ashanti region. That is where she had to go, because can you imagine staying in a rented apartment of a gunman and you are not paying? So she had to leave. So we went to stay with the paternal grandmom in the village somewhere in the cocoa growing area. And my mom had to sell gari to take care of us. She goes around some of the villages around to go and sell. Sometimes she came back deep in the night around 8 p.m. Those times there was no lighting system. So you can imagine. And then she'll be walking through under the cocoa trees, very thick and dark. But she's walking through. And then one time, since my paternal grandmom told her, anytime she goes, I've been crying. I cried till she came. So now she was telling her that when she's going, she should carry me along. So can you imagine, I'm at the back of my mom selling gari all throughout the day, and we come back in the night. There's a memory that I've still not forgotten. I remember one time I was at the back. So when she's coming, she has to cross a river. And there's just a wood, like a tree stump that is on it, and she has to walk on it. And there's no light. I remember anytime we go there, I held my mom tightly, as if to say that, make sure you don't fall. Because if you fall into the river, we are all gone. One time I remember she slipped almost. But by God's grace, we are here. So throughout all those challenges, my grandmom, that is my mother's mother and father, they heard about the trauma that my mom was going through, and then she asked her to come back home. That is to the village, Budwata, where they stay. So that is where I began to have an encounter with my maternal grandmom, Akua Akyere. And Akua Akyere, I'm saying, immediately I got to the village, she enrolled me into the school. There is a school there that is sponsored by then World Vision. They were taking care of that school, so it was well resourced. Those times, when I was a kid, we were taking digestive biscuits and oats because of World Vision. not now, then. So she taught me everything that I need to know about my Christian life. I remember if she has to go to the farm, I went with her. And when she's going, she's always singing. She will sing all the hymns there is. I'm sure she could sing more than half of the Methodist hymn because she will sing back to back all the stanzas. And I'll be listening. When she has to go to church, she'll pull me along. We'll get to church. Then, even at the Methodist church, then there wasn't Sunday school. I remember I was the only kid that would come and sit in front as the pastor preached. And I absorbed everything that was taught. What happens is that every time the pastor preached, he would give a text about the preaching that he did. And the following week, when he comes, he will ask you, what did I preach the following week? And I'll be the first person to jump up to say whatever was preached last week. Because when I go home, my grandma will catch me, put me down, and then ask me, what was preached today? And then a day before church, Saturday, she'll ask me, what was preached last week? And then I'll make sure I see everything. So Sunday, when we come and the pastor is asking, I'll be the first person to jump. And all this were the tutelage of my grandmom. And I loved her so much. So I decided that, whatever it is that I could do in her memory at the right time, I will. And so the singing and then everything about music was imbibed in me. So at the point in time, I went to join the Tema Youth Choir. And I go for rehearsal. Something was there. But because of work schedules, I was not even able to make time enough to go for rehearsals. And if they have to go for programs, I'm not even able to get time to go. So it dawned on me that we have to put our choir together. So I began praying about it. Where was I going to get the members? How was it going to happen? And all of that. And God has been faithful. And so... So Akem is here because of one woman who made a difference in somebody's life, Akua Akyere. And can we give a very big clap to Akua Akyere? So we talked about it, and on 26th of February 2018, I'm talking about just this year. So Akem is going to be 1 year, and in February 2019, 1 year. We are barely 1 year. And already we are doing wonders, aren't we? We hope that God will take us to places. Amen. And we hope that now when it happens, 26 February, when we started at Datus. And unfortunately, it became obvious that we couldn't continue our meetings there because of certain issues, very difficult circumstances. And we had to move to Chemu Secondary School. I'm sure God was really leading us, and that is where we have most of our members, from Chemu Secondary School. Beautiful. And our long-term objective is that we are going to evolve as an international music school. That will be harnessing the talent from the streets. We'll just pick people from nowhere, from the streets. Those who have the talent in music will, as God gives us the enablement, will harness their talent and make sure that they also come into the fold to come and help the work of God. I hope that Akem is here to stay. Akem is actually blessed by God. And we know that anytime that Akem has to minister, God himself is going to be present. It is going to be in your own interest that when you hear Akem ministry and you have to rush there because God is going to be there. And God will meet you at the point of your need. Long live Akua Akyere Memorial Youth Choir. Long live Akem. Long live Ghana. And joy to the nations of the world. Thank you.